Hello, this is the Tradesight U.S. Stocks and Futures Market Preview for Tuesday, October 11th, 2016. We're going to keep this brief because not much has changed since the weekend preview, since Monday was effectively a bank holiday for Columbus Day, and as expected, nothing happened in the markets. We did have a nice stock trade or so, the futures were flat all day after a gap up. We'll look at that, but there's not really anything new to say about the market analysis currently, as that was a wasted session on 1.2 billion NASDAQ shares. Really light. We'll look at that too. So here's the ES front month futures contract daily chart. Obviously nothing's changed here. Let's just go through some of the other stuff. The big story, if there was one, crude oil up $1.37 to 51.17, back at closing highs for the last year, and that's a very constructive cup and handle or base formation right there. Even an inverted head and shoulders at a certain level that looks higher from here, obviously. Gold up $9.50, not a big deal. There's a 9-bar startup phase completed there. We talked about that on Friday. So here's your S&P cash index, closed up 9. Most of it, all of it was a gap. NDX up 29. Stocks down 4. Biotech's up 41. But still well under that 13 sell signal we got a while back. The VIX just down 10 cents to 13.38. Now here's where it gets interesting. Here's that trend. And we closed at 0.88, and a big number, as I talked about over the weekend. This is, if there's a story here, this is it. If you take the last 10 dots, we dropped off a pretty big number, and we got another one that's going to drop off tomorrow that was around looks like about 1.1. That puts the 10-day moving average currently at 0.89. So if we get anything under about where we got today, 0.88, tomorrow, and drop off a 1.1 number, that's going to put the trend, 10-day moving average, at probably 0.85 or less, which is a sell signal on the market when it occurs. So we've been talking about this. It's potentially there, and we're helped towards it today, so that's going to be interesting. Here's NASDAQ volume, as usually happens for Columbus Day. We got a bank holiday. Banks are mostly closed, but the stock market isn't. Here it is last year. If you look off to the left, you see a low day in October. And we did about the same, 1.25 billion shares. So here we are today. We did 1.25. It's the lightest day of the year, except for the other one of these we got. I believe it's Good Friday, the day after Easter. Yeah. Nasdaq volume was, advanced decline ratio on the Nasdaq was plus 1149, which is good breadth. On the New York, plus 1280. Google gained 1346, almost to new closing highs. And Google, Apple up basically $2, new closing highs for a while. Amazon up 228. Now, the funny thing is, and here's Netflix down $1.49. We are about to enter, and we'll talk about this over the next weekend report. We're about to enter that point of the year as you get in November, where stocks that are up for the year tend to go higher because nobody wants to sell them. And if you look at Google, for example, back in January in the 700s, it's not that it's had a huge year like it's had in some prior years, but it is at the highest. So anybody that bought this year is up. Okay, which means nobody wants to sell and lock in their tax gains. Apple, pretty much the same story. Started out the year in the mid-90s, now staying at 116. Okay, obviously Amazon, big winner here. It's been as low as 480 this year for a little bit. Now at 841. There's a good one where nobody's going to want to sell this and have to pay taxes this coming April. And those stocks tend to then push up higher in November. Now, obviously we've got a chance of a sell signal on the market, and that could come into play here, a little bit differently, but overall, we're going to start looking at these stocks that are up for the year and start to realize that they might keep going. In terms of Tuesday, now the holiday is behind us. We still do not have any economic data. There's nothing until Wednesday. So there's nothing to push us or drive us there. It's just pure news and whatever. The earnings season will start on Tuesday. You'll start to see some earnings reports come out before the bell. Now that the holiday is behind us, and the next couple of weeks, we're going to see a lot of earnings. More of them are next week. I'll be honest, it doesn't really look like, I feel like earnings these days take a little longer to get put together. So I feel like what used to start the second Tuesday a month is more like the third Tuesday, because I'm looking over the list and I don't see anything major this week. So it's going to be next week. So the core 8 days of earnings really starts next Tuesday. And that's fine. So I don't even see a stock to worry about tomorrow that's releasing earnings. So that's it. Charts as usual brought to you by Signal. We'll have a straight up trading day on Tuesday with everybody back. And that's it. Have a great trading Tuesday.